Is your child feeling lost in college right now? If you are a college student, are you feeling lost in college right now? Especially this mid-semester time? I guess it's a little more than mid-semester, but if you are, if you are a parent who your child has been talking to you about this, or if you are a college student and you're feeling this way, this episode is for you. I want to start with a story. So, when I graduated from high school, I was ready to go to college. I grew up in a small town and I didn't want to live in a small town. I wanted to live in a city and I wanted to get away from my parents. And I was so excited about just being an adult and doing the things that I dreamed of doing. And I remember that whole senior year, I was writing all these plans and goals and all the things I was going to get involved in, all the friends I was going to have, all the parties I was going to go to. Just, I was so excited about going. And that summer, I met a guy and I fell head over heels in love with him and became obsessed with him. But I still wanted to be free. I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to go to college. And the college was about an hour and a half away from my hometown. And that whole summer, I spent my entire summer. Well, once I started dating this guy, the rest of the summer was him. I was spending all my time with him or my friends. And even on move in day, he went along with my parents to take me to college. And then they all went home. And then there I was. And my really good friend from high school, we didn't want to room together because we had heard if you room with people that you like, you may not like them later. And we wanted to stay friends. So she was on the eighth floor of the dorm, and I was on the seventh floor of the dorm. And we moved in, and I was so excited, and I couldn't wait to do all the things that I had planned to do. And I love school, I love learning. So I knew that the classes would be fun, learning new things, meeting new people. And it was just going amazing. Or so I thought for the first few weeks. Then my roommate, because at that time, I think you always had to have a roommate in the dorm. I don't know what the exact rules were, but the roommate that I didn't know until I moved in, I had actually hardly ever seen her because she was so wanting to be with her own friends from high school that she was never in our room. And then she asked to move to a different room to be closer to her friends or maybe be in with her friends. And even though I didn't know her, I was feeling kind of like, oh, I guess she didn't like me or there was something wrong with me. And that's why she didn't want to be in my room. So I was in my room by myself for a while. And I would go upstairs to see my high school friend on the eighth floor, but she was doing great making friends and had already was making plans and doing stuff with people, and I just didn't. I just felt like, oh well, where are the friends that I'm making, and where are the people that I'll fit in with? And so I just sort of retreated to writing letters to my boyfriend and calling him on the phone. Now, in those days, it was long distance, and I suppose it was sort of modern in the way that we had phones in our rooms, or at least some people did. And I had a phone in my room, so I could talk to him while I was in my room. But it was still expensive, and I remember the phone bill was terrible. But anyway, I remember calling him a lot, and it just made me feel better. And I couldn't, I mean, I would just be counting hours down until the weekend came so I could go home so that I could see him. And then I was feeling so lonely and sad. And I was starting to notice in the classes that they were harder than I was used to in high school. And I also was a first generation college student. And so I didn't have anything, I couldn't ask my parents about any of this stuff because they didn't experience going to college. And I started to feel like maybe I wasn't supposed to be in college, or maybe I wasn't smart enough, or I couldn't handle it. And it just felt so much better to just go home and be with my boyfriend because I didn't have to think about any of that stuff and I enjoyed being with him. And by Halloween, I decided I'm packing up and I'm out of here. I just want to be with him. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm scared, I'm lonely, I'm sad. I don't I don't think I wasn't doing a good job because I was spending so much time doing other things that I wasn't doing my classes, and I just kind of stopped going to classes because I was so sad and so um, torn about whether I really should be there or not. And so I just packed up all my stuff. I did not tell my friend upstairs because I knew she would try to talk me out of it, and I did not want to be talked out of this decision. I wanted out. I was like, this is I can't deal with this right now. And so I just packed up everything and I went home. Now, not home to my parents. I did not tell my parents that I was leaving college. I just went home to live with my boyfriend. Now, this is not, I'm not condoning that. And it certainly is something that I wish I wouldn't have done. But at the time, I did not see any other option to that. And when I got home, I knew, like, after all of those other emotions of I don't fit in here, what am I doing? I'm sad, I'm lonely. I'm back into a more comfortable setting where I feel loved and taken care of. And I knew I wanted to go to school. I knew that I wanted to get a degree and do something in my life. But I knew that I needed to do it in a way where I could spend time, a lot of time with my boyfriend, or at least that's what I thought I needed. And so I just looked for a school close by. And that's what I did. But I started thinking about this mid semester time. What is so volatile about it? What is it about that particular time? Because I talked to a client this week who is a freshman in college. It's the mid semester. And she started talking to me about all these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, I remember this. And I think this is actually normal. I want to talk to you about the messy middle. It's kind of like, they talk about the honeymoon phase of anything. So, anytime we start a job, start a business, which I can relate to this in my business, going to college, going to a new school, picking up a new hobby. I mean, anytime we're doing something new that we haven't done before, there's that initial excitement. Oh my gosh, just imagining all the things that are how it's going to be when you know how to play that instrument, or when you learn the painting techniques, or when you're in the school, what it's going to be like, or what new friends you're going to make, or all the things. There's so much excitement about the beginning of anything that we do that's new, but college especially, there's so many dreams and ideas about what's to come after, while you're in college, the people you're going to meet, the degree you're going to get, all the stuff. And then after a short amount of time, and probably around this time in the semester, especially for a freshman, it's like, oh, I don't know as much as I thought I did. I don't know if I fit in here. I miss my old routine. I miss my friends. I miss my family sometimes. I don't think I miss my family, but I would guess most kids probably miss their family to some extent, miss the friends that didn't come with them to school, miss a significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, somebody that they left back at home, or somebody that went to another school. And there's just all of a sudden all this uncertainty. And if you think about it with a business or a job or a hobby, in that part where you're learning all the stuff and it's hard and you still have to keep going anyway, or still have to keep practicing anyway, even though people might not like you, or maybe it's you have to practice a lot and it's super hard, or whatever it is. And in that middle time, you start questioning yourself, like, should I have decided to do this? Is this where I need to be? Is this the right person? Is this the right job? Is this the right career? Is this the right school? Is this the right whatever? This is normal. This happens in every time we do something new, and we need to be okay with it. We need to normalize it. We need to think about, oh, this is the time when the newness wears off, and I really have to, come to terms with everything that's happening right now, and to not make it wrong or bad, or to make it true that we don't belong there, or that we shouldn't be doing that thing, especially college, which is kind of what this episode is mostly about, is the college. But think about it in every aspect of new that you've experienced. So when I talked to my client this week about her messy middle, I said, okay, what's going on? And she said, well, I was so excited to come because I have freedom. I'm away from my parents. I can make my own decisions. I'm meeting new people. And I pushed myself into this because I want to do all these things. I want to meet new people. I want to do hard things. But now I'm realizing it's like super hard and everything, like questioning, is this the right major? Are these classes too hard? I miss my family. I miss my friends, my roommates. Like living with other people sometimes is a new experience. And her two roommates are going off the rails, like making some dangerous and sad decisions. And then she's sort of there as part of it, and she doesn't agree with the stuff. Then she has to live with them, and their ways of living aren't the way she does things, and then she doesn't want to say anything about it, and she's trying to make friends in other areas of her life that she does enjoy. But then, when you're meeting new people and starting friendships, there's this awkwardness or uneasiness, because it's like, okay, well, I like this person, but are they the right person? Or they're busy with their own lives, and then we're not sure if we should ask him to do certain things. And it's just the whole thing. And when you think about, especially for freshmen in college, absolutely everything about their life is different. They they don't have the same routines. They're probably not sleeping enough because they're making the wrong decisions about how, what things to do, and staying up and not doing their homework or whatever. And then all the classes are new, all the people are new, the living situation is new, the town is probably new. Even if kids stay home, that's still a lot of new stuff to contend with. And it doesn't mean that they need to come home. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong when they're feeling this way, but there are ways to normalize it and start talking about it and believing them when they say that all this stuff is hard. And then just emotionally and physically, it's exhausting when you're thinking about all these things that are new, and all these decisions are now on them. And it's just a lot. And so there are things that students can do, there are things that parents can do to make this mid semester slump. And it maybe happens every year, but it's especially, I think, crucial in the freshman year, because it is just so much newness that they don't experience as much newness as a sophomore, junior, senior. So here's what students can do to help this messy middle. So, first of all, it's just naming it. Oh, this is the messy middle. This is what I knew to expect. And I think it's important that we tell our young people when they go off to college. Of course, it's exciting and wonderful. And we're so glad that they're going. We're so glad that they're taking that step. But we need to remind them that there is going to be this middle time where you're going to question all of it. And nothing has gone wrong when that time comes. So it's almost like anticipating that, yes, there's going to be a time. And you may have that anomaly child who doesn't experience this, but I really think that almost everyone is going to experience this. And also talk to them about all the new things. When you get your first job, you're going to question it. When you get when you choose anything, when you choose your life partner, you're probably going to second guess it for a minute. Like these are normal things that our brain is doing really to protect us, trying to help us look through all this, is this the right decision? Is this the right major? And of course we need to look at those things and care about those kinds of decisions, but we don't need to just believe everything our brain tells us that we're not cut out for it, we're not smart enough, we shouldn't be doing these things. Like give us some time. And that's the other thing, is to remind ourselves it's temporary to feel like that. We're not always going to feel awkward and out of sorts. We're not always going to be exhausted by every decision that comes our way, because with all of that learning, we're going to build our muscle of being able to make decisions better, being able to get through those situations better, because we will have experienced more adversity and questioning and confusing times. And then we're going to be like, oh, yeah, this is when that happens. And I'm totally fine. And this is what I'm going to do to help myself. And maybe you need to put some routines back into your life. I know that most of the time when we get that freedom away from our parents, who probably made all of our routines for us or the rules about what we should be doing, what if we decide to put some of those routines and rules back in? Because those things actually give us some comfort, some boundaries to what we're doing. And, having a bedtime or having a get up time or having a morning ritual that we do before we go to class or having that nighttime ritual before we go to bed, and putting some of those comforts back into what our life is like, and knowing that it's going to take time to make friends and it's going to take time to feel comfortable as a college student. And what are some things you can do to make yourself feel like a better student? What are some things you can do to make yourself feel like a better friend? And when you're feeling like I don't fit in here, remind yourself to look for the things that show and prove that you do fit in there. Because if we're thinking, well, I don't fit in here, then our brain is looking for all the obvious, like, oh, look there, that person didn't ask you to go with them. That's why you don't fit in here. Your brain will look for all those reasons why you don't fit in. So when your brain says, oh, you don't fit in here, say, okay, I'm going to look for every reason why I do fit in here, every reason why school is for me, every reason why this major is for me. And it doesn't mean that you won't change your major. It doesn't mean that you won't change schools. It doesn't mean that some people aren't really meant to be your friend. All of that's fine. But just allow yourself to really make a good decision about it, instead of a snap decision because you feel like you don't fit in or feel like it's not the right fit. And it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to find that the counseling center and on your campus, those people are there to help you. It's okay to ask a professor for help. It's okay to ask your dorm advisor for help. It's okay to ask your parents for help. It's okay um, to ask other kids on campus for help, that they're all experiencing the same thing. They may not act like it or may not look like it, but they are experiencing it too. So open up conversations with people about, do you feel lonely too? Does it feel awkward to make new friends? People are going to be like, yeah. And find those activities where they're trying to help you make friends and help you find your place there. You're going to find your group. You're going to find your people. You just have to be like, okay, this is the time when it's hard to meet the new people, and I'm going to meet them, and it's going to be fine. And parents, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, yes, my child's been calling me saying they want to come home or they don't fit in or crying about stuff, just listen to them. Don't try to fix their problems. Just listen, acknowledge, oh, that sounds really hard. If you went to college, then there was that time where you felt like you didn't fit in. Say, I felt that exact same way. This is what I did. This is what was helpful. I even told my client this week that, yeah, I ran away when it was too hard and when I was scared. Now, that wasn't the right decision. And it's certainly one that I wish I would have done differently. But it didn't derail that I got a degree. I got a master's degree. I just maybe needed that break to figure out, what do I truly want here? What is the most important thing? And I realized that school is more important to me than anything, and I'm going to find a way to get that degree. And I can almost guarantee you that if you give your child that space to really think about it, and if they ask you for help and they say, give me advice, give me a direction, then do that. But if they don't, they just want to complain to you and they want to, vent that it's scary and sad and hard, just listen to them and know that nothing has gone wrong. They're not damaged. They're not necessarily going to come home. Now maybe they'll come home for that break to really figure it out and, be supportive and helpful with them, but also don't let them off the hook. Don't let them just run away that it was hard or that they thought they couldn't make it, because we want them to work through the stuff that's hard. So maybe just talking to them about other things that have been hard for you, getting your first job or experiencing anything that's new in that messy middle where you're like, oh, I don't know if I should do this. And just talk to them about how it's normal and that they're okay and that they're going to figure it out. And that by March, they're going to be glad they stayed in school. It just doesn't feel good right now. But I also know that when I was that age, no one could have talked me out of my decision to come home. And so don't, I wouldn't be like super mean with them if they're wanting to come home. Let them have the decision of that. Let them problem solve it. And if they ask for your help to problem solve it, help them walk through the steps, the pros and cons. What is the pros of staying in school? What's the cons of staying in school? What's the pros of coming home? What's the cons of coming home? Because there's pros and cons to everything. And their idea of those are probably different than yours. And I know there's a very scary part of, oh my gosh, what if they don't get a good degree? What if they never go back to school? Just calm yourself and just think through, okay, how can I best support them right now as they're figuring this out? Because they will, they have to. This is their adult life, and they're not going to want to be with you forever. They're not going to want to do nothing. They're just scared. They're just confused. They're just lonely. They're just making a billion decisions all at once that they've never had to do before. Just talk them through it. Let them um, figure out some of those things on their own, but with support from you, especially if they ask for that support. Also, support them in connecting to things on the campus. When kids feel that they're connected and belong, they want to be there. And so maybe they just haven't explored enough ways to be connected. And if, again, ask them if they need help. And if they do need help, then you can help them find those supports on the campus, the groups, the activities, the have them, whatever they're really interested in and love, have them find people that are doing those things that they can connect with. And a lot of times it isn't their roommates, unfortunately. And sometimes it's people in their major, especially if that's the major they really are excited about. Again, they might be in a major that they're not sure of and maybe won't stay in. And so maybe those people don't click with them very well. The goal isn't to make this painless or stress free, because there really isn't a way to do that. The goal is to help them build such resilience in these kinds of uncomfortable, awkward, lonely times that they can face those times every time it comes up, because it will happen again. Whether it's their first job, their first real relationship, the first time they want to try new things, that these things are going to come up again. And if they don't know how to handle them, they won't be able to face those things either. So this is the time to build those strong skills in being able to work through that stuff. And you can help them do that. So if you're a freshman in college or really in any messy middle and you're like, I wasn't cut out for this, just know that that's not true. Your wanting to go there and your being there right now means that you are meant to be there. You just need to figure out what is the learning here. Is it just learning to get through awkward things? Is it a learning that this isn't for me, this really isn't for me, and I just need to pivot to a different degree or different major? Maybe this town isn't for me, and I need to go to a different town to experience college. Or this college isn't for me. Maybe it is too big. Maybe I need to find a smaller one. Just really think about all the reasons why and don't just believe that you weren't made for it, because you are. Just remember, if you are a student or you're a parent, this moment does not define the rest of their life or the rest of your life if you're the student. This is just one of those things that we have to work through. And nothing has gone wrong. You are totally fine. You are going to figure this out. It's temporary. You're going to feel better later. And just be really open to all the options, all of the ideas, and don't believe your brain when it says that you shouldn't be there, or you're not smart enough, or you're never going to make any friends, or whatever else it's telling you, because those are all lies. And if you want to work with me to help you walk through all this stuff, talk through all of it, remember I do one-to-one coaching with young people, and college students are part of the young people. And if your college student just needs somebody to talk through all this stuff, it fits totally in with my anxiety because it's an anxious thought. It's anxious things that are happening. And all the things that I teach will help them become resilient in these kinds of decisions that they have to make. And if you're a parent who needs support, I have a parent support community. And if you go to my website, it's under the tab Parenting Through the Maze. And you can read all about the things that we do in my parent community, and you can get support there as a parent. Sometimes I'm working with a client and the parents at the same time. Sometimes I'm just working with the client and not the parents. Sometimes I'm working with the parents and not the client. So all the things work. Just go to my website. That's also how you can figure out how to get involved with me for one-to-one coaching for your young person, or if you are a young person. So I would love to help you through this. I've experienced it myself. My daughter also called me a lot during her freshman year. She didn't come home. She ended up staying there all of her years and still lives in that town. But there was a time when she was calling me all the time saying, I hate this. I hate my roommate. I hate the storm. I don't want to do this. I don't think she ever felt like she couldn't handle it academic wise, but the friend stuff was crazy. And really, I feel bad for every person living in a dorm where you have to live with these people you don't know, and they just have different living styles, and you're just trying to do so many new things, and that's just one more headache. And I finally just let her go to an apartment, I think at semester, because I was just so tired of her hating the dorm. And sometimes schools don't allow that, like you have to wait for the whole year. And I can't remember, maybe she waited the whole year. That part I don't remember, but I remember she went to an apartment and she was much happier after that. So, and the person that she lived with in the apartment, of course, they didn't always agree on certain things, but she was able to get away from that a little bit more because there was two bedrooms, so she could go to her bedroom, and it wasn't like they were just in one room. So sometimes it's just like a change of scenery, a change of living arrangements. Sometimes roommates or dorms don't work out. Who cares? Like, if you can move, then move. And don't make any of those things a big deal. And I think that helped her to then stay because she was able to work out that one problem that she was having. And so, just be there to listen and help them try to figure it out. I just want you to know that you can figure this out. I know it doesn't feel like you're going to right now, but you can, whether you're the student or you're the parent. It is going to work out, I promise.